In October 2024, something unprecedented happened. The Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to artificial intelligence, but not for chatbots or self-driving cars, for AI designing life itself, proteins that cure cancer, bacteria that compute, cells that store more data than any hard drive. This isn't decades away, it's happening now. Hit subscribe for cutting-edge space, tech, and bioengineering content. Let's dive in. So what exactly did AI win a Nobel Prize for? To understand that, we need to talk about proteins. Now, if biology class feels like a distant memory, don't worry, here's all you need to know. Proteins are basically life's molecular machines. They're the workers inside every cell in your body, doing everything from fighting infections to digesting your food to building muscle. But here's the wild part. Proteins are made from simple building blocks called amino acids. Think of amino acids like Lego bricks. You can arrange the same Lego bricks in millions of different ways, and depending on how you arrange them, you get completely different structures: a car, a house, a spaceship. Proteins work the same way. The same basic amino acid building blocks can fold into countless different shapes. And that shape, that's everything. The shape determines what the protein does, whether it fights disease, stores energy, or builds tissue. For 50 years, scientists faced an impossible problem. If you knew the sequence of amino acids, could you predict how they'd fold into a 3D shape? It's like trying to predict exactly what shape a crumpled piece of paper will take just by knowing its dimensions. Researchers spent entire careers trying to figure out the shape of a single protein. Then came AlphaFold. In 2020, Google's AI didn't just solve this problem, it demolished it. AlphaFold can now predict protein structures in minutes that would have taken years of lab work. And we're not talking about a few proteins. The AlphaFold database now contains over 200 million protein structures from more than 1 million different organisms. To put that in perspective, that's essentially a complete map of the molecular machines that make life work across almost every known species on Earth. And over 2 million researchers in 190 countries are already using it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Predicting proteins was just the beginning, because once you can predict how proteins fold, you can start designing new ones. Proteins that nature never made. Proteins we engineer from scratch. Predicting how proteins fold was a monumental achievement, but scientists didn't stop there. Because once you have AlphaFold showing you nature's designs, a new question emerges. What if we could design our own proteins? Proteins that evolution never created. Proteins built for specific purposes we choose. This is where it gets revolutionary. In 2003, a researcher named David Baker succeeded in doing exactly that, creating entirely new proteins from scratch, proteins that don't exist anywhere in nature. He wasn't modifying existing proteins or tweaking them slightly. He was building completely novel molecular machines, atom by atom, using only computer models and biochemistry. Think about that for a moment. We're not just copying nature's homework anymore. We're writing new chapters in the book of life. And these aren't just curiosities sitting in a lab somewhere. These designer proteins can become new medicines that target diseases with precision, more effective vaccines that train our immune systems better, ultra-sensitive sensors that detect threats at the molecular level, even new materials stronger and more resilient than anything nature has produced in 4 billion years of evolution. But here's what makes this moment so extraordinary. For 20 years after Baker's breakthrough, designing new proteins was still incredibly difficult. It required massive computational power, years of specialized expertise, and even then, success wasn't guaranteed. Most designs failed. Then AI changed the game again. Today, researchers can use AI not just to predict protein structures, but to generate entirely new ones. You can tell the AI what function you want, say a protein that binds to a specific virus or breaks down plastic, and it will design candidates for you. Multiple options, in hours, not years. We've moved from reading biology's instruction manual to becoming its authors, from understanding life to engineering it. And the implications? They're already saving lives. So, what does all this actually look like in practice? Let's talk about one of the most remarkable applications: living drugs that fight cancer. For decades, cancer treatment meant one of three things: surgery to remove tumors, radiation to burn them away, or chemotherapy that poisoned the cancer but damaged healthy cells too. It was brutal. Effective sometimes, but brutal. Then, scientists had a radical idea. What if, instead of using chemicals, we could engineer a patient's own immune cells to hunt down and destroy cancer? This is called CAR T-cell therapy. Doctors extract immune cells from a patient's blood, genetically modify them in a lab to recognize specific cancer markers, then put them back into the patient's body. These engineered cells become living assassins, programmed to find cancer cells and eliminate them while leaving healthy tissue untouched. And it works. Patients with previously incurable blood cancers, cancers that had resisted every other treatment, went into complete remission. The FDA has now approved 5 different CAR T therapies, and they're saving lives that would have been lost just a decade ago. But scientists didn't stop there. Now they're developing something even more sophisticated: cells that don't just attack cancer, but can sense it first. These next-generation therapeutic cells can detect cancer biomarkers in the body, make decisions about when to activate, and only strike when they find their target. We're talking about biological robots, living, thinking medicine that adapts to what it finds inside your body. This is synthetic biology at work, not in some distant future, but right now, in hospitals, saving real people. CAR T cells are just the beginning, because when you can engineer biology with the precision of computer code, the applications go far beyond medicine. Let's talk about something that sounds like pure science fiction: storing data in DNA. Right now, the world generates more data every day than we know what to do with. Data centers consume massive amounts of energy just to keep information stored and cool. Hard drives degrade. Cloud storage isn't in the clouds. It's in enormous warehouses full of servers that need constant power. But DNA? DNA is nature's original data storage system, and it's spectacularly efficient. A single gram of DNA can store 215,000 terabytes of information. That's more than any hard drive, any server, any data center. And unlike hard drives that fail after a few years, DNA can preserve information for over 1,000 years at room temperature with no power required. Scientists have already proven this works. Researchers successfully stored pictures, videos, and entire books in synthetic DNA, then retrieved them perfectly. No data loss, no corruption. In 2025, a company called Atlas Data Storage emerged from stealth mode with $155 million in funding to commercialize this technology. This isn't a research project anymore. Companies are building DNA data storage for enterprise use right now. Think about what this means. All of humanity's digital knowledge, every photo, every video, every document, could fit in a space smaller than a coffee mug and last for centuries. We're not just reading DNA anymore, we're writing to it. Biology has become technology. The line between living systems and digital systems, it's disappearing. So let's step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture here. What we're witnessing isn't just a series of isolated breakthroughs in different fields. This is a fundamental shift in how we approach some of humanity's biggest challenges, from disease to climate change to how we store and process information. For billions of years, life evolved through random mutation and natural selection. Evolution was a slow, blind process, testing variations through trial and error, keeping what works, discarding what doesn't. It had no plan, no goal, no vision of the future. It took deep time, geological time, millions of years to develop new capabilities, new adaptations, new species. But we're entering an age where evolution happens by design. With AI and synthetic biology working together, we can now predict protein structures in minutes that would have taken decades to solve, design new biological functions in hours that nature never created, and test them in days rather than generations. What took nature millions of years to stumble upon through random chance, we can now iterate on intentionally in a single research cycle. Think about that acceleration. We've compressed millions of years of evolutionary trial and error into laboratory timescales. And the applications are staggering. We've talked about cancer therapies that use living cells as medicine and data storage systems built from DNA, but this technology is already being deployed across almost every field you can imagine. Scientists are engineering crops that can grow in drought conditions and resist the effects of climate change, ensuring food security as our planet warms. They're creating microbes that can break down plastic pollution in oceans and landfills, tackling waste that would otherwise persist for centuries. Researchers are developing sustainable biofuels that could replace fossil fuels without competing with food production. They're designing new materials, stronger than steel, lighter than aluminum, and completely biodegradable that could revolutionize manufacturing and construction. The timeline for all of this? It's not some distant future in science fiction. Most of these applications are already in development or early deployment right now. We're talking about the 2020s and 2030s, not the 2100s. This is happening in our lifetimes. But here's what makes this moment truly extraordinary. We're not just observing life anymore. We're not just understanding it through microscopes and experiments. We're actively redesigning it, engineering it with intention, improving it for purposes we define. The question isn't whether biology and technology will merge. They already have. That merger is complete. The real question, the one that will define this century, is what will we build with this power? We're living through a revolution, not one that's coming someday, one that's happening right now in laboratories and hospitals and data centers around the world. AI winning the Nobel Prize for designing proteins, living cells that hunt cancer, DNA storing humanity's knowledge, materials stronger than steel grown in labs, crops that resist climate change. This isn't science fiction, this is science fact, and we're just getting started. If this journey through synthetic biology fascinated you, subscribe to Synth Cosmos. We explore the cutting edge of where intelligence meets infinity, from space exploration to breakthrough technologies to the bioengineering revolution reshaping our world. Share this video with someone who needs to see where we're headed. The future is being written right now. Let's discover it together.